All right, well, thanks everybody for coming in, for your patience in getting the room set up. We appreciate it. My name is Sarah Schuster. I am with Outdoor Retailer, the attendee relations team, and my past life, I was a buyer for 25 years here at Outdoor Retailer. I've come to the show and owned my own store, and worked for many specialty stores, so it's been a fun ride and neat to be on the other side of the story, I guess. And we have a fantastic panel here to work through all the different questions that we have regarding Elastic Suite and a relationship with buyers and retailers and brands. Maybe if you guys could just go down the line and introduce yourself real quick, that would be great.
Yeah, I'm John Frederick with RAB in Low Alpine. And I've been with that company for about 8 years, and I come from the retail side, and I've also worked on the repping side. So really exciting topic because it pertains to a lot of what I've done.
Thanks, John. I'm Josh Redden, the founder of Elastic Suite, the B2B platform. Also now recently a proud member of the Emerald family during the acquisition at the end of 2020. Just so thrilled to be back at this show, seeing all the people we know and love. This is where we built the brand. This is what it's all about, is bringing manufacturers and retailers together. So I just want to thank you all for being here at the show and believing that it's time to come back, and excited to talk about virtual transactional business and the wholesale relationship with you today.
Hi everyone, I'm Stephanie Mason and I work with Cavu, and I'm sales manager. I've been with them for about 16 years. I started as a sales rep and then I ran our retail stores for 10 years, so I've done a lot of buying on my side as well. And then about the last 4 years have been more at a higher sales level and working with our worldwide sales team and training them in everything Cavu. So I do a lot of content creation and information sharing in my job.
Hello, I'm Brian Mildenstein. I'm from Fin and Feather in Iowa City, Iowa. We're just a single store. I call us a mom and pop shop. We're a little bit larger than some outdoor stores for a single door, but I've done a lot of buying over the last 30 years, and I'm somewhat transitioning out of that as I've started buying the shop about 10 years ago, and just finished that off. So doing more of an oversight on people who are buying for me now, but I have a hard time taking my finger completely out of the equation here. So feel lucky to be here, and thanks for coming. Hopefully I have something to add, I think, to this panel. I feel a little overwhelmed by the people sitting next to me. But.
No. Okay, so I'm just going to ask questions, and we're just going to get some answers rolling and watch the clock and just kind of roll with it. So, and at the end, we'll have some questions from the audience, and if you guys want to speak out, just holler up. So our first question is, over the last 18 months, what ways has your company adapted to the constant stream of changes we're seeing? And have you found any new ways to connect with your customers? And whoever wants to take it.
Let's go down the line.
Yeah.
All right, we'll do it. Well, 18 months, a few things have changed in the last 18 months. But I think, especially around the B2B topic, has been content creation and just trying to build different content and content that would really help our retail partners in a remote purchasing decision when they're used to, we're an apparel company, so touching and feeling and trying on. And so that's looking into video and other things like that can be on the Elastic platform and really just sort of help walk that buyer through an experience. Nothing's going to actually mimic what exists in a real life showing, but trying to help them out quite a bit. So that's definitely something we're working on.
Yeah, no, content's critical. Rab's always done an incredible job with their content, but as we know, as we're selling virtually now, that need is drastically elevated. And we know how difficult those windows are to get samples shipped and then shot and then propagated, to your channels to sell not only just the B2B channel, but all of your other D2C channels as well. So we've been really trying to work with our partners to help facilitate that, and then have a UX that allows for that. And then speaking of that, the other big change over the last 18 months for us, obviously, was to try to find a standardized process so that the retailers and buyers aren't having to jump between Zoom or Teams or whatever other platform or FaceTime, however we were going to go about it. And so we really tried to work with the industry to find a standardized approach to selling virtually, because we didn't have those face-to-face meetings. So it really heightened our need for customer success and customer support to help our brands sell digitally, which was a challenge, but I thought they executed beautifully, through the last 2 selling seasons, and now sneaking on 3.
The last 18 months have definitely been a wild ride. I think at Cavu, our core focus is working with our specialty retailers. And so with that in mind, we were like, how do we best meet their needs wherever they're at with their stores? So it was definitely content creation. We pivoted really quick and were able to roll out product videos for everything in our entire catalog pretty quickly for that first S21 selling season, and that made a huge difference. I was like, how many adjectives can I come up with to describe a cotton t-shirt to get that message across? Because really missing that touch and feel in the buying process was the biggest hurdle to overcome. And it was just really having any and every tool that we could provide to our buyers so that they could get orders in and understand what the product was going to be about. So it was just really utilizing the B2B platform and any way we could communicate what the awesome parts of our products were.
Yeah, as a buyer, it was a tough transition. I'm like, tactile, I want to touch things and feel it, and like, I don't know what a sweater feels like or looks like. How warm is that sweater? What is it? It's really hard. And so some brands were better, I think. Some people had really high quality images, production, and some people tried to force it through a Zoom with low bandwidth, and things were fuzzy, and it was really hard. And I noticed we were like an old store, right? We're like 53 years old, and so sometimes I'm like slow to adapt to the modern world. And I realized, like, technology-wise, I needed more monitors. I bought a lot of computer monitors this year because like now everything's on Zoom, so I'm watching over here, and I don't have a catalog because no one prints them anymore, which is great for the environment.
But it's great.
But it's really hard to circle something. And I had and over all these years, I've like come up with little notes that I write to myself, and I know what everything means and like how I do it, or if I underline versus a circle, or all of these things are. And I'm suddenly having to write down all my notes, or like and so. I have 2 massive monitors on my desk, and I would have a third one there if I could find a place to put it. But then I realized I had to do that for my staff too. Like, they also needed more monitors because everything's on, everything's digital, and so that was different. As far as like communicating with customers, adapting there too is driving me crazy that people want to send me a message on Facebook. I'm like, I don't know, like, call. Don't you have a phone? And like, everyone's got a phone, right? So I sort of started looking around in my mind, I was thinking of a switchboard operator that, would like route messages. And I found a company that does that. And so now whether somebody texts me or uses the chat tool on our website or sends a Facebook message or an Instagram message, it all goes to one spot. And then I can drag them or route them to the proper department, and then people can answer those. And if they don't answer them on time, I get another message that, hey, this has been sitting there for 5 minutes. Like, don't you want to answer that? And so I'm like a week into this, and it's pretty good so far. Like, I feel like we're really being more active in answering those messages that consumers are asking for. And I'm not competing against other stores here usually. I'm competing against Amazon, or I'm competing against like Zappos and things like that, people that are really good at doing that sort of thing. And so like, I'm not worried about other local retailers like myself, but like ignoring that that's going on and that other people are really good at it is dangerous, I think. So those have been just a couple other things. I feel like a lot of stuff has changed this year.
That's an amazing one. You might have some people hitting you up after the show to find out what that is, what program you're using.
Yeah, they don't give it away, but it's like, I think I think it's worth it so
Yeah.
far. We'll see. And you're also collecting phone numbers.
It's called
and
Woof, right? From all you Office fans? It's Woof It.
Yeah.
It's Woof It.
I wondered how many retail buyers are in the crowd right now. Can you just raise your hand? How many buyers do we have here? Okay,
Thank you.
about half, I'd say. Not quite. And then how about our brands? How many people are brands that are in here? Okay. All right. And then do we have designers? A few designers. Okay. Retailers and brands, designers. All right, thanks. I just wondered. It's interesting to know who we're talking to. All right, well, thanks for that, guys. We'll go on to the next question. Currently, what is the most valuable aspect of a B2B relationship aside from commerce and product?
Want me to go first?
I'll go first. Yeah. I mean, the most valuable aspect besides commerce, I know for us, and we're lucky to be a privately owned company, and it's the relationship side of things for sure. And we're not like a hardcore sales team that just goes out and pushes product. So like it's the relationship side of things. And I also think that's like the beauty of working in this industry is that we get to work with awesome shops like Fin and Feather, and like we get to have these relationships with unique retailers that have their different customer bases and their different like geographic regions, and that's like the richest of being this industry. So for sure for us, like those relationships and partnerships, and the fact that if we grow with somebody, it's because there's a lot of health to that and they feel supported, and we're trying to always find new ways to support them and work together. That's definitely the backbone for us.
Yeah. That's what we always want to try to provide is that two-way communication. And unfortunately, maybe we can't always pick up the phone. And maybe, brands that are emerging and growing don't have that massive rep force, that can give that one-to-one kind of attention that the retailers, I think, would appreciate, but there's just not the resource there. And so what we hope to inspire is two-way communication, through a digital medium, but allowing brands to be able to tell their story in the way that the product is curated and merchandised and presented at retail. And I know you both put a lot into that. It's one thing to sell it in, but we got to sell it through. And I think the more that we can help create that conduit between the manufacturer and the retailer, assuring that we're providing that sort of almost cinema-like experience for the consumer at retail, that's what we really try to bring outside of just writing orders. And that's what we always try to say is don't just sell in, but sell through. At full MSRP, by the way. and I think that's really important as we continue to evolve, and is using the digital forms to create that two-way communication beyond commerce.
Yeah, definitely. What's already been said about communication and building relationships is so key. And I think it's also, I'm all about providing people with the tools that they need to do their jobs. And, everyone knows how to do their job really well. And it's providing your buyers and your reps with all the information that they need to be successful, and your partners with your stores to be successful. That's such a key part of what we do. And so I think just that information sharing and support, and that's the key part of having a B2B, is you can put so much information about your product in there for your dealers to access. Yeah.
And we want to keep expanding on that and provide more storytelling opportunities again, because we're not having that opportunity. And by the way, after getting rid of printed workbooks, sorry, retailers, we had to do it, right? We had to do it. Next is sample reduction. I mean, that's just such a huge cost savings. And we know you still need to touch it and feel it. So it's how do we strike that balance of great content, coupled with sample, but maybe not the full rainbow set, because we want to start saving these guys money on samples as well.
Brian, did you have anything you want to say about the B2B?
I just like I'm not always the most organized, so and sometimes I'm working late or early, and schedule's weird, and so being able to have resources there without waiting for a rep to call me back and waiting for them to call the company and then waiting for a call or an email or whatever, and if I can get on there and download the UPC file that I need, or if I can see if something's available for a customer kind of immediately, rather than let them leave the store and say, yeah, it's there, you want to order it, we could order it right now, or they don't have any more of those, what about this? Well, they're still there, versus calling them 2 days later and saying, oh yeah, I guess they don't have it, now they're out of the shop and have lost that opportunity. So to me, it's just that immediacy of like having things in a central location and easy to find.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I appreciate it too. I like the marketing materials that you post with them. I think that's really important. And a great point that if you could just go right to it whenever you need it, because retailers' hours are kind of 24/7 in a way. And when you want the information and it's right there, it's really convenient to have it. So I believe that. Okay, next question. What's evolved or is happening now that is continuing to drive a change for the future of B2B? What has evolved or is happening now?
I mean, what is evolving for us and is happening right now is we have an awesome new partner that we were introduced to by Elastic, which is Show Labs, which is a content creation team here in Denver that has just significantly both simplified but also expanded our content offerings and what we can put on Elastic and the timeline we can actually get it on Elastic. And so it's allowed us to expand from just standard mannequin photography to various angles to model photography to video content, all going live at the same time for selling. And that's honestly, when it was pitched and when the idea came out, I sort of said it didn't exist and there was no way it could ever happen in that timeline. And we're incredibly psyched because it's just it's changing the way we can go to our retailers and honestly the services we can provide especially in the last year when we haven't had the ability to, like I said, touch and feel. So that's happening right now and it's super exciting.
Yeah, I mean, 2020 happened, right? And that's what changed, and,
Right.
and we had to pivot. We had to look at how we're going to use technology to continue to be disruptive, because now the biggest brands in the world were coming to us saying, we need elevated service, but we can't pay you. And I said, well, how does that work? But we figured it out, and we figured out, exactly how we could streamline the process of getting content into the Elastic product, quicker and faster, so that our brands could go to market and sell. And so we really did focus on content. I think coming next is the next evolution. We're slow to move as an industry. We're weaning ourselves off catalogs and Excel order forms. We're elevating our content, which is critical. And in the next couple years, we'll now beginning to see, AR experiences in which now retailers can truly start to see, how buys are going to truly articulate merchandise in store, by footprint, by size, and then AI thinking on recommended buys, and not just based on trends, but based on sell in and sell through data. We're working hard on being able to provide our retail partners with thoughtful buy recommendations based on a number of data inputs. And obviously the retailers are still going to make the decisions, but we think because we have access to so much, it's incumbent upon us to inform them a little bit more around the data that we are using. And so I'd say those are the next big ones coming.
Right.
Is AR and AI.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna jump on talking about that digital content and how important that is to the buying experience and the evolution of that, and add in, obviously with product videos and with access to incredible tools to build your digital content, you're gonna be seeing experiences more with on body and fit and draping, and really how those products are gonna translate when they're on bodies and people are in your store trying them on. And you can kind of have that full experience when you're buying and know that the products that you're bringing in are gonna sell through really well.
Yeah, thanks, by the way, for providing more pictures and things like that. It is good, right? It's nice to be able to go and see something, oh, this fits this type of body in this way, at least. It gives you an idea of what it is without seeing it. So that has been helpful. We were just talking outside. I'm looking forward to suggested, if you can pull that out, like maybe these are things you should be buying more of, or maybe these are things that you aren't trying that you should buy from one of our customers. I'm a terrible merchandiser, but I like things to look good, and so yeah, anything like that, like the whiteboard is great, and then this idea that you could theoretically maybe plug in some square footage and say, okay, this is my buy, put it on this many four-ways, a couple of tables, and nest them and do this, and like, all right, there's a place to start at least, right? And then make it your own from there. But all of it's helpful, right? Like
You'll be part of the beta. Yeah, absolutely.
People work hard, right? And like there's never enough time to do everything you really want to do. So any of these things that you can kind of just make a little bit easier. I mean, I don't want to look like the Gap. You know, I don't want to look like I got a planogram and we can't sell anything off the mannequin, because then it would throw everything off. But I still want to be a local store, but a little help, maybe a small planogram or a start, anything, roadmap would be good.
That's always been the vision of the whiteboard and the dream, is that brands can present more curated looks, and then we can shop those looks, right in the B2B, rather than buying style by style. And then what I really root for is eventually when brands will work together so we can cross-merchandise brands, because we all know we don't buy tip to toe. And so, what we as we continue to build this community, we want to start providing tools in which we're cross-merchandising at the brand level, and then really selling you and our retail partners, truly curated looks based on data, and that's not far off. And we just gotta get you all playing nice together, which we're getting there. Let's go.
But again, it's back to like, these brands aren't competing. Like they might think they're competing. They're not really competing against each other. There's plenty of customers out there, but we're competing against really big things, right? You're competing against maybe Walmart or somebody else producing clothes. But if you look at like the number of actual like outdoor products in the real world, there's plenty of people left outfit. Like there's plenty of customers for everyone, right?
Yeah, we
You never sold your last pair of Smartwool socks. Like there's always somebody else that's going to buy another pair of socks, right? Like, it seems like it sometimes, but.
Well, that's all a good segue into the last question, which is based around some of the merchandising information. How is the migration to using digital catalogs and B2B merchandising tools impacting your brand's sustainability initiatives? And do you have any other plans for furthering these communications?
Yeah,
Commitments, sorry, these commitments, not communications.
I mean, it goes back to, even just talking about catalogs, which is, it's a challenge because retailers, buyers understandably like catalogs and reps like catalogs, but moving away from catalogs has a couple benefits, and one is the merchandising element of it. Like in the time that, at least every brand's different, but in the timeline that, products come and you can shoot them appropriately, in like a flat lay style that'll actually merchandise well, and you can create like merchandising pages. It's hard to actually print that in time often for a trade show cycle. And so by having like the whiteboard module in Elastic, as we might start the season with, you have one product that had a delay, so we didn't get samples in time, and you have CAD drawings, you can still whiteboard around that piece. And then as that piece shows up and you get it shot, you can input those real photos into the B2B platform and sort of continue to improve your presence as you're getting into the buy season. And so that definitely helps, the CSR story, because you're not having to reprint workbooks and work around that. And I think as far as where the future goes, I think it's really looking at, truly, even as a brand, that the cross-merchandising between other brands makes sense. People don't buy Rab to fill their whole store, and neither should they. Like there's definitely, other products and other brands that really work well together. And if a retailer can start to work and think that way, that'll be a really significant change.
Absolutely. Well, the other bridge that we've seen work well is the PDF, and then having that on an iPad with a stylus. And so instead of, for retailers when they come to this show in its heyday, they'd bring 2 suitcases, to roll their hordes of catalogs home. And now, the vision is instead of that, they can leave with an iPad with all of those catalogs archived there with their underscores and their little doodles, because I get it. I still love taking notes with a pen and paper as well. And so we really tried to bridge that gap by using, the PDF creation real time, allowing you to still create segments and assortments, because not every retailer buys every product. Having that live on the iPad as a PDF, and then take your notes with a stylus. And we think that's the right bridge, because just taking those away completely isn't realistic. And so anytime you evoke a behavioral change, you sort of want to I want to slowly tear the Band-Aid off. And so that's what we're trying to achieve with our custom catalog builder and PDF and stylus. So if anyone kind of wants to figure that out, we've got a lot of people here to help you learn that process, because we do love the sustainable aspect of print elimination, and the numbers are staggering. And we as apparel manufacturers, can be offenders of some other egregious, dyes and poly bags, and there's a lot of other kind of dirty things we can't seem to get away from. But we can stop printing those catalogs, and so we're pretty passionate about that, and hopefully we'll all jump on board.
Yeah, when it comes to definitely merchandising and using the B2B tools, when we first started talking to Elastic, the whiteboard was probably the one thing that I was the absolute most excited about. Having bought for our brand store for so many years, I would literally take the catalog and cut it up and put it on pieces of paper and create my whole assortment. And so, and that's wasting a couple catalogs right there, right? So having that whiteboard utilization was awesome in my buying process. And then now in my sales role, I utilize it all the time to create suggested assortments and, really give that whole visual tool to the buyers that I'm working with. And so it's been super helpful. And obviously, we maybe are printing about 10% of the catalogs that we used to. We'll still probably do. We like to have our archives to have a little bit, but there's a huge sustainability element to that. There's, been a little bit of a cost savings for us as a company as well, which has been great.
That's good. I am transitioning on that too. I'm going to make it just in case we're. But the times that I've sat with the iPad and the stylus, it works really well. I'd say that was obviously not super possible during the pandemic showings. People weren't ready for it, but I did have one rep sort of towards the end of the buying cycle show me how to actually use star ratings and filters on Elastic. And I'm
nice.
like, oh, wow, you can actually do this without, so it's pretty good. I had a hard time denoting colors the way I wanted to, so that it would bring up the whole style or something. I had to quickly type notes, but that did work better. And so already, if I can learn it, anyone can learn it, right? So already making that change, and it is good. We used to pick up 3 copies of every catalog. I need one for my office and one for the other buyer, and we need one on the sales floor. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what I'm going to do with file cabinets. I mean, I guess get rid of them and buy more monitors. But yeah.
One of the things I love most is the whiteboard as well, and love being able to merchandise the stories so then we would print them and then give them to the sales floor staff, and then they would know how to put the story together on the sales floor, and then you can send that between locations as well and share everything. So I really do appreciate that, and you can do it digitally. We don't have to print it, but that is a little bit challenging to get away from. Just the storytelling on the reading a magazine, and the print is for a creative person, just you kind of pour yourself into the images, and you want to put that up onto your store. So I think that is a little bit of a challenge to get over, and as we go forward, you're just going to keep improving and making changes for that kind of stuff. And what are some of the statistics for the catalogs? I was reading one of the banners out front, but what are some of those numbers? Do you know off the top?
I do know one off the top of my head that really sort of was astonishing to me, because we work with the Environmental Paper Network. And for a brand that's printing 5,000 catalogs at 150 page count, so I mean pretty small print run, pretty standard for the industry here. 90 trees we're whacking down.
Okay.
For that size of a print run, 5,000 150 pages. Am I right on that? That's one I put in my head. And so you think about that for the brands out there, who are printing at that level every season. You're knocking down 100, and if you're a 2-season brand, you're knocking down 180 trees a year. Not to mention the water and energy and everything else. And so I think it's worth it, especially when we're hearing from the retailers that, yes, there's starring and noting. Yes, there's digital note-taking abilities. And you can also use a stylus. And so we want to really bridge that gap. But I just think it's such an easy first step to sustainability is this print elimination. And we're going to continue to be better so that it'll be easier to use. But again, think about that when your next print run happens. You just whack down 90 trees to make that happen. Just saying.
Does anybody have any other further comments or thoughts that they wanted to bring out there? And then we'll draw.
I'd love to hear from the group, yeah.
Yeah. How about you guys? Got some questions?
Good question. Obviously, I think it hurts me to say, like, selling is great, but sell-through is the key, right? And I guess, is there anything that you're seeing, or that you've seen here over the last year with either like a new brand or a new product line that they've been doing from like either digital or store, aspect that's working really well to help with sell-through?
Yeah, successes. I'll leave that to the brands. Any successes you've had?
I mean, the last year's been tricky because just due to the influx of new users into the space, sell-through has been really, really strong. And it's been, I would say, more than any other time that I've been in the industry. It's, the issue is not sell-through, the issue's been inventory supply, lack of inventory availability, et cetera. But as far as like speaking outside of just this, let's say the last year specifically, it goes back to, I think earlier there was a question where I spoke about partnerships. I know for us, there's a lot of like cookie cutter ways to try to achieve sell-through. And I'm not saying these are wrong, but you have your sales contest, you have your pint nights, you have your, window displays, you have all these different things. And those, especially for certain retailers, are really, really strong, opportunities. But I think the reality is that those don't work for everybody. So that's our goal. We work with independent reps who live in the territories and have these relationships with the retailers, and have a great marketing team that we try to empower to also work with the reps and the retailers. So it's our goal that we can come up with creative solutions and not try to force a retailer into a cookie cutter solution and like check it off the box. Check the box. It's like, oh, we achieved that. That's going to equal sell through. So I know for us, that's like definitely been the win over the last sort of 3 to 5 years, is just making sure that those partnerships are leading to meaningful engagements that leads to sell through, not just like doing something for the sake of doing it.
Yeah, I think I might just add on the side of relationships and making sure that we are familiar with our dealers and that we are guiding them in their assortments for their area, and really knowing, this might be for this region, we're going to give you the information that we have that these colorways or these styles work really well in your state or where you're at. So that's definitely a key part of what we do.
And Elastic has a fantastic custom catalog builder. So we ask, every rep, it's not, you don't build a catalog for your region, you build a catalog for your retailer. And every showing has its own custom catalog, so that way that retailer is not wasting their time looking at product that we just know based off historics may or may not work. At any point in time, you can jump into the full catalog and you can see everything. We're not hiding things. You're not wasting the buyer's time, and you're steering them towards products that you can actually achieve sell-through.
I like that. That's great.
Sell-through right now, like you said, it's more of an inventory issue in a lot of cases. And like, I don't know when that base stock is going to be back, but I think we're a solid 1.5 years off personally. I just don't see these manufacturers catching up with the increased demand. Really everything would have to shut down for a while. People would have to just stop buying. I shouldn't say everything would have to shut down. Like, that's scary after 1.5 years. But yeah, but relationships for me are better sell-through generators than anything I could do outside of that. Like, I spend, as I've transitioned out of a key buying role to owner, I spend a lot of OR. I always come to look for new products. That's like the main reason I come, not to look at brands you carry a lot of, but things that come here. We come with a goal to find 5 things that are going to pay for the show. And so you're looking around thinking, like, is this going to pay for my show? And sometimes you hit it out of the park, and sometimes you're lucky just to get rid of them somewhere, But usually we have a fair amount of success with that. But I spend a lot of time just talking to people and saying, are you a good partner? And how can we be a good partner to you? It's a two-way street, right? Like, I can't be a cruddy retailer and ask you to be a good supplier, but yeah, it's hugely important. And like, how much do we trust each other? I don't need it all like signed and legal. It's just like a handshake's fine, right? And just I find that the brands that are actually truly good partners have better sell-through for me, because we're working together on that. And I'm not worried about if I really screwed up. Maybe they have another customer that wants those. Maybe they'll swap them out and give me something, because it's in their interest for me to sell through the product too, right? But and for you guys at Rab, like maybe some people look at this as a drawback. I don't, but like you guys don't. You don't change colors gratuitously all the time, right? And so there's no reason to mark it down. It's just, it's a little easier to fill back into things and to carry things a couple of different seasons because it's not changing just to change. Like they always have new stuff, and I'm not just saying, I'm a huge Rab fan. I mean, they make top to bottom, like I wouldn't buy everything because I don't need it for what it was built for, but like they make really, really cool products. And so like I own like 10 Rab jackets, not because I need 10 jackets, but because I always like, oh my God, this would be so good to run in, and then I get it. And I'll give you some love too. They make really fun stuff. So if you want, like pineapples are fun, it turns out, and they have a pineapple shirt, and like fish trunks and things like that are like infused a ton of like levity in the store this year. Is like really nice. People are like looking at it like, oh, that's fun, and they were buying it because it was a dark year, and like it's okay to have fun and like and to want to be happy. And I think that was good. But like the relationships we have with these brands and other brands is so important. And the brands where we don't have good relations, I always see them suffer. Mm-hmm. And I sell whatever we want to sell, but I want to sell stuff that people are standing behind and that are easy to work with. I don't care what your warranty is if I trust you.
Right.
Like, that's the best part.
So just real quick to hit on the supply question, with the digital market that's coming up, there'll be some search options for inventory and stuff like that. Can you explain that just real quick from the...
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think the synergy with us and Emerald made so much sense because we can continue to unify and galvanize the channels that we're so passionate about, and that's started right here in this outdoor channel. And so in addition to all the great sell-in tools and B2B and whiteboard and custom catalog and giving brands the opportunity to have an opinion and really direct that opinion through directive and curated buy plans, the next big thing is bringing us all into one market. And so as a buyer and maybe we buy a brand that we're so used to buying and we have supply chain issues now through the market, we can search for like product, see inventory, and conduct commerce sort of in a unified marketplace. And so we've rolled that out softly here in the next couple months. We're going to continue to build on that with a new UX, but the vision is that we're all in one centralized place, one centralized market with smart filtering and robust search, allowing us all to really now truly create a buy plan that is inclusive of everybody in our category. And we have some incredible partners from the North Face and Patagonia, and we love the ability to put you all shoulder to shoulder and allow retailers to have access to you all. Is the vision, mm-hmm. And it's coming soon. It's not a long lens project. It's developed and ready for prime time, and will be fully baked by January's show.
Okay, great. Were there any more questions in the crowd? Anyone? I got one back here. Good.
This may be an odd question, but from a marketing perspective, particularly, a microphone. From a marketing perspective, particularly for newer brands who are just starting to get some awareness and visibility with buyers or with retailers, what have you seen worked well to provide you with information that's valuable to catch your eye, not just from a salesy perspective, but things that really give you information that would help drive decision making?
Yeah, who wants to take that one?
You go first. I go first every time.
Oh my God.
You were there, not that long.
On the spot. All right. From a marketing, kind of things that have caught from a marketing perspective, I think our big focus in the last year has definitely been product content and how that carries through all the way from, at the pre-sale level of product videos and having informational PDFs and having all that uploaded on Elastic, but then following that story all the way through when the product actually lands and having it on our social media channels, and kind of having a consistent story per product and really focusing. We've done some hero product focusing and deep dive into our core items that really are explaining and telling that story all the way through pre-sale to when it's out in the public. And hopefully that's supporting our dealers as well and sharing that content on their channels as well, making it all available to them to utilize.
I think
Does that
being
kinda
brave.
answer it?
You know, I think
Yeah.
I think having courage. I think. I mean, I'm looking at a good friend over here from Pit Viper, who, as we all know, has come and been so disruptive, and but not disruptive to be disruptive, but be authentically disruptive about what you believe in. And the brands that I love working with and I root for, and these two of them are those challenger, emerging brands, and just don't be afraid to be who you are. And because I feel like this industry for so long was so copycat, and to see brands truly taking a stance and more importantly taking a swing, I think is really important. And I think that courage and bravery is what I'd say is the most important element to new brands. And then authenticity, like being who you are and not being afraid to tell that story.
Great answer. Any more points that you wanted to bring
I
up
guess
with
I
that?
could add, I mean, I don't think I'm on, but especially as a small brand, it's easy as a small brand to look at what you can't do, because big brands have these big budgets and they can do so much and they can sort of own a lot of different spaces, but small brands can do a lot of things big brands can't do. And it comes back to some of the relational stuff. And I know for us, it's having regional reps and is, I think, incredibly critical, because even though they are sales guys, they, along with having, like, we have a really strong athlete team because we do make, more performance-based apparel, that can, you can take your sales guys and partner with athletes, and you can really turn them into marketeers. And again, on this nimble level that these bigger brands, and I'm not trying to insult a bigger brand, but just might be looking right over those opportunities. So like lean into being little. You can do a lot of really rad things that way.
All right, anyone else? Questions? Can't see hands over there. I think we're pretty good. I like that last question. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a great question.
Yeah. Well, I think that's it. That's a wrap on our questions that we've got going, and we'll get this going for the next group so they can get in here on time. And we just want to thank you very much for your attendance and for coming to the Outdoor Retailer Show this summer. Thanks, everybody. Yeah.